Professor Alfred Huan, Assistant Chief Executive, Science and Engineering Research Council, A*STAR. Ms. Adeline Au, Vice President of Environmental Sustainability, Singapore Economic Development Board. Ms. Cindy Koh, Director of Energy and Chemicals Cluster, JTC. Valued partners from industry and academia, colleagues and participants joining us as part of this ITAP event, live and digital. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm Royston from A*STAR, and I'll be your MC for today. Welcome and thank you for joining us today at this afternoon's MOU signing ceremony for the conceptualization of the carbon capture and utilization translational testbed, or CCUTT in short. At today's signing, in addition to our colleagues from the MTI family, we are joined by representatives from 14 companies and entities. Joining us from A*STAR, we have Professor Reginald Tan, Executive Director, Science and Engineering Research Council, and Dr. Ng Wai Kiong, Deputy Executive Director, Institute of Chemical and Engineering Sciences. From Chevron Singapore, we have Mr. Law Tat Win, Chairman, Chevron Singapore Country Office, and Mr. Tan Kwang Tai, Commercial and Business Development Manager. From Evonik Southeast Asia, we have Mr. Stefan Krischke, Head of Process Technology and Engineering Asia Pacific South, and Dr. Wen Xing Zhang, Process Safety Expert. From ExxonMobil, we have Dr. Adam Osadi, who is the Energy Center Advisor. From IHI Asia Pacific, we have Mr. Hiroki Kobayashi, Chief Executive Officer, and Mr. Tang Su Chuan, General Manager of IHI Asia Pacific's Regional Marketing and Business Development Division. From Keppel Infrastructure, New Energy, we have Mr. Chua Yong Hui, Executive Director, and Mr. Benjamin Ho, Senior Manager. From NTU, Nanyang Technological University, we have Professor Shi Rong, Research Director of Engineering and Physical Sciences, and Professor Paul Liu, Assistant Professor, School of Chemical and Biomedical Engineering. From NUS, National University of Singapore, we have Professor Liu Bin, Vice President, Office of Deputy President, Research and Technology. From Pan United Corporation, we have Mr. Chan Wai Man, Director, Operations and Sustainability, and Mr. Lim Kun Min, Deputy Director, Sustainability. From Pavilion Energy, we have Mr. Fabian Kaur, Group Head, Strategy and Corporate Development, and Mr. Neo Zhi Sheng, Manager of New Energies. From SLNG Corporation, we have Mr. Tan Su Kung, Chief Executive Officer, and Mr. Jack Lim, Senior Technical Manager. From Savannah Jurong, we have Mr. Derek Wong, Director, Energy and Industrial, and Mr. Tan Wee Leong, Senior Director, Energy and Industrial. From YTL Power Seraya, we have Mr. Loh Boon Tong, Chief Operating Officer, Commercial, and Mr. Tan Yi Mian, Head of Performance and Strategy. And from Singapore Membrane Consortium, SGMEM for short, and Start Center, hosted by Intuitive, we have Mr. David Toh, Chief Executive Officer of Intuitive, and Ms. Joanne Sim, Program Director of Singapore Membrane Consortium. So we greatly appreciate your time to attend this event as we embark on this new journey. So really thank you everyone. So in today's event, there will be a commemorative virtual signing ceremony followed by an industry connect talk on decarbonization through catalyst innovation and modularization. The signing ceremony serves to formalize the shared interest of the ecosystem in the conceptualization of a future-ready, flexible, modular test bedding facility for the emerging CCU technologies. At the heart of this CCUTT is a new production technology on display here at ITAP at the Whole of Government Pavilion. So please visit the Whole of Government Pavilion if you have not seen this and would like to find out more. In the meantime, please enjoy the following video, which provides a short overview of the modular production technology that will be a key enabler of CCUTT. Please enjoy the video. So may I now invite Professor Reginald Tan, Executive Director, Science and Engineering Research Council, A*STAR, to give his opening remarks before we proceed with the signing ceremony. Prof. Tan, please.
Thank you, Royston. A very good afternoon to our many valued partners, colleagues, and ITAP participants viewing this event. The video we just watched premiered at last year's ITAP, where A*STAR's Institute of Chemical and Engineering Sciences showcased an initiative to develop a new modular production technology for the chemical and process industries. This week at ITAP 2021, we are proud to demonstrate at the Singapore Government Pavilion a new approach to digitally integrated engineering for the process industries, which is viewed as a first step to enabling a true plug-and-play paradigm for chemical manufacturing. On that note, we are very pleased to announce that A*STAR researchers will be working with our industry and academic partners to study the development of a carbon capture and utilization translational testbed. In short, is CCUTT. It's based on the plug and produce technology. The CCUTT initiative was announced earlier today by Minister for Trade and Industry, Mr. Gan Kim Yong, at the launch of the Sustainable Jurong Island. By using pre-automated plug-and-play modular units, which can be configured and operated on demand, the testbed aims to address the industry's needs for translating emerging CCU technologies. This will be achieved by providing early data and insights under industrially relevant conditions to scale up with speed, flexibility, and cost effectiveness. This CCUTT initiative is also positioned to support and de-risk business decisions towards technology investments in Singapore. The MOU, to be signed just a few minutes later, will formalize public-private partnership to conceptualize a national infrastructure to translate emerging CCU technologies. We are very grateful for the involvement of our industry partners and colleagues from academia for their involvement in this initiative. And we do appreciate the support of EDB and JTC as we all of us work together towards Singapore's carbon abatement goals. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. Tan. So before we proceed to the signing ceremony, may I just invite our signatories and witnesses to get their pens ready and prepare to ink their documents. Signatories, please sign on your documents and give us a thumbs up when you're done. Thank you. And now for our witnesses. Please sign on your documents and also give us a thumbs up when you're done. Thank you everyone for your participation. We have come to the end of the signing ceremony. And at this point, may I invite all signatories and witnesses to join us in a screenshot taking session. So please look into the camera on your devices now and give us your biggest smile on the count of 3, 2, 1. And just one more shot on the count of 3, 2, 1. All right, thank you. So thank you everyone for your participation. So with the end of the signing ceremony, we would now like to invite you to join us in the next session of the Industry Connect talk titled Decarbonisation through Catalyst Innovation and Modularization by Dr. Chen Lu-wei and Mr. Gabriel Loh from ICIS A-Star and IHI Asia Pacific's Mr. Takuya Hashimoto. For our MOU signatories and witnesses who are currently on Zoom, please proceed to our ITAP digital platform where we will be live streaming the Industry Connect talk. And for participants who are viewing this event on the ITAP digital platform, please stay tuned very, very shortly. Thank you, everyone. So thank you everyone for joining us and for staying on with us for our next segment on the Industry Connect talk. So we hope that indeed our MOU signatories and witnesses have moved over from the previous session and join us at the ITAP digital platform for this upcoming exciting talk. So we have 3 speakers today. Let me just firstly introduce the first speaker. So our first speaker of this talk is Dr. Chen Lu-wei. She's a senior scientist and the team leader of Decarbonisation Strategy at the Institute of Chemical and Engineering Sciences, or ICIS at A-Star for short. She is active in both academia and industry-related R&D, and her research interests include the development of catalyst materials for renewable or alternative energy, biomass valorization, carbon dioxide capture and utilization. And her talk is titled, Turning a Climate Killer into Valuable Products. So without further ado, may I invite Dr. Shen Lu Wei, please. Yeah.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here and also online. I'm Du Wei from the Institute of Chemical and Engineering Science. Today, I would like to share with you on how our technology can help on carbon abatement and create values from it. This is the outline of my talk. First of all, let me briefly introduce our institute. Institute of Chemical and Engineering Sciences is located at Jurong Island, a chemical industrial hub of Singapore. We have 180 employees from 14 countries, and 44% of our staff are PhD holders dedicated to research. ISUS possesses expertise in design and synthesis of small molecule, polymers, ingredients, catalysts, and process development for chemicals and pharma industries. Okay, let's switch to our topic today. I believe many of you have seen this picture recently. The Trura foreign minister stood in the sea to film his COP26 speech to emphasize the climate change on the effect of sea level rising. If with every passing years, scientists become more certain that global warming is behind of our today's many extreme weather events, and the gas responsible to the most warming is carbon dioxide. It can exist in the air for hundreds of years, and it may keep on affecting the climate up to 1,000 years once it has been emitted. However, although carbon dioxide is a significant contributor to the climate change, a growing interest for a potential carbon economy is growing from governments, industries, and investment communities. So carbon capture and utilization technology is the key to helping us meet climate growth as well as economy goals. ISUS has been active in supporting our national decarbonization effort by initiating research programs and projects with collaboration with industry and universities on CCU technologies. We mainly focus on capture and utilization, and we have other research capability to support these efforts. Today, we are going to show 3 key research areas in our institute: carbon dioxide mineralization, CO2 to fuels and chemicals, and CCUTT. As we know, being an island country, Singapore is also facing the threat of sea level rising. 30% of our land will be below sea level by 2300 if the global carbon dioxide emission reduction target cannot be met. Therefore, we need a lot of sense to do our coastal protection. And carbon dioxide mineralization is a technology very relevant to our context. In this CO2 mineralization process, the carbon dioxide capture is reacted with alkali earth materials such as calcium or magnesium to form metal carbonate, such as calcium carbonate and magnesium carbonate aggregate. And these solid materials can be applied they are very stable and harmless, so they have many applications, such as can be used for land reclamation or sand institute in concrete mix. In addition, this technology will help to prevent heavy metal leaching from incineration bottom ash. Therefore, it can be turn this waste material into valuable material, can be used as alternative sands. And this is a futuristic view of this technology. And the carbon dioxide mineralization technology, it will help to decarbonize the power and industrial sector. In addition, it can create alternative sands for many, many applications. It will increase our self-sufficiency and resilience in national building by reducing the reliance on sands import. The other areas we are working on is converting carbon dioxide into liquid fuel, such as jet fuel. Aviation industry produce about 2% of global man-made carbon dioxide emissions. And they determined to halve this emission by 2050 compared to the level of 2005. However, aviation industry is very difficult to be decarbonized by some alternative solutions, such as hydrogen and batteries, because there are still many technical hurdles to use this to fly. And hydrocarbon fuels still a good solution for this. And carbon dioxide can actually make into jet fuel. And this type of carbon dioxide-based jet fuel is potentially a carbon-neutral aviation fuels to help decarbonize this industry. And in ICES, we have developed efficient catalysts to convert this waste carbon dioxide into jet fuel. Another liquid can be produced from carbon dioxide is methanol. Methanol is a chemical widely used, have many applications, and it can be directly used as fuel. And this showcases our collaboration with NUS Professor Zheng. We have designed a special structural catalyst which can efficiently convert carbon dioxide into methanol. We also work with our industrial partner, IHI, on the conversion of carbon dioxide into gas product, methane and light olefin. Methane can be used as an energy carrier to store hydrogen, and it can be used in our existing infrastructure for the transportation and utilization of methane. And light olefin is a raw material for many modern plastic products. And our collaborator, Hashimoto-san, will introduce more into detail later. Let me come to the conclusion. In ICES, we are working on carbon dioxide capture and utilization technologies to fight climate change. We offer a variety of collaboration models to meet different needs of industry. So please contact us to find out how we can work together with you for your sustainability development. Thank you for your kind attention.
So thank you, Dr. Chen Lu Wei. And for our next speaker, of course, at A-Star, we are very interested in collaborating with industry and our partners. So for our next speaker, we actually have one such partner from IHI Asia Pacific. So just to tell you more about him, about this second speaker, he's Mr. Takuya Hashimoto from IHI Asia Pacific. Hashimoto-san has been with IHI since 2013, working in the organization's technology and intelligence integration, as well as R&D department, located in Japan, and being involved in various energy projects for 5 years. So in 2019, he was assigned to IHI's collaboration projects with ISIS and relocated to Singapore in that time. So he has been working together with the researchers in ISIS, and the scope is to develop catalysts for CO2 utilization purposes. And the collaboration between ISIS and IHI started way back in 2011, over 10 years. Having had this many years of R&D collaboration and experiences, IHI aims to accelerate the adoption of CCU technology. So without further ado, maybe let me just invite Hashimoto-san to present his talk titled Decarbonisation by Carbon Recycling and Collaboration with ISIS A-Star. Hashimoto-san.
Thank you very much for your kind introduction. I'm Takuya Hashimoto from IHI Asia Pacific. As an introduction, I'm based in Singapore since 2019, and then mainly engaged for the collaboration with ISIS and the A-Star. So I would like to have biggest thanks to the A-Star and the ISIS colleagues to giving us this opportunity to introduce this kind of things. I myself is belonging to the Regional Innovation and Solution Center, Energy Solution Group in IHI Asia Pacific. So today I'd like to introduce some about our activity and the collaboration with the ISIS and A-Star. So the contents to be, first of all, let me introduce about the IHI itself, or especially particular the 5 pillars of the decarbonization as a key strategy of IHI, and some of the Asia Pacific region in such a context to be explained. And the next thing to be the decarbonization strategy, especially particularly in roadmap, technological wise, and also for the concept of the carbon recycling from the enterprise point of view. And for the collaboration with ISIS A-Star, as Dr. Chen Lu explained the 2 examples, I like to focus on the details of the projects. First one is the production of the lower olefins. The other one is the production of the methane, substituting natural gas. Those can be made from CO2. So let me talk about the IHI. So IHI has a very long time history from 1853. So briefly, we have the 170 years of the history. And we are the one of the heavy industries in Japan, to having around 30,000 employees based in Tokyo. So what does IHI do? Here are the business area, the key business areas example for here, classified by colors. First of all, the air engine and the space and defense. This is the very fundamental area of the IHI. And the second one is the industrial systems and the general purpose machinery. Put simply, we can provide various kinds of the services for the machinery and some of the process equipment, such as the compressor or some of the turbochargers equipped for the automobiles. And the third one is the green-colored ones, the social infrastructure and the offshore facilities. Yeah, this is the biggest product of the IHI. So you can see we can build some of the products, such as the bridges. And last but not least, resources, energy, and environment is a pretty important area for us. Especially, this is much relevant to today's talk. So this slide shows IHI's vision for carbon-free and sustainable society. Put simply, IHI's vision is, IHI is having a vision that to achieving the 50% carbon dioxide reduction in 2030, and aiming the net zero emissions in 2050. So towards this kind of goals, we have the 5 pillars. As you can see, that these 5 pillars are the hydrogen ammonia, biomass, and optimization of the planting operation, and renewable energy management, and the last one is the carbon recycling. In a point of view for the Asia Pacific region, I would like to focus on this slide to explain you what IHI does. So for the first one, hydrogen and the ammonia, I think there should be a lot of business chances in the AP regions and possibilities too. So in that, there are many some of the supply chain for the infrastructure for the fossil fuel is already existing. So we are working on this kind of field to adopting some of the new kind of greener fuels, such as the hydrogen and the ammonia. And this can be also applied for the biomass too. And for the some of the energy management, to be honest, this is something like a renewable energy, and some of the things nowadays, the AP region is a very growing area for this kind of area. Needless to say, there's a lot of business chances are here available. And then number 4, of course, the some of the fossil fuel power plants, there should be the business chances for the adapting new kind of technologies, and its customer demands are there. Of course, we are working on the upgrading the facilities or some of the co-combustion or something like that. Not only ammonia and hydrogen, we can consider the carbon-free fuel here as well. And but today's main focus is carbon recycling, where we can work with the ICES and the A-Star. This is now the stages to find the very early adapters. I believe thanks to some of the movements, such as the COP26, there should be more and more potential customers for this kind of area. So this slide represents some of the key information for the technology roadmap. On your left side, you can see the figure with the CO2 reduction rate with the vertical axis, and the horizontal axis, you can see the decades. 2030, 2040, and 2050. So you can see the upper side. Of course, you can see the IHS activity for the conventional energies, such as the oxy-fuel combustion or some of the carbon capture technology with using the amine solutions or something like that. On the bottom part, you can see the very future works, such as the very ideal technologies, such as direct air capture or some of the artificial photosynthesis. So what we need to do right now is a part where circled as a red part, and this is today's focus for the talk. So this could be the CCU technology you can see on the right side. And this stands for the CO2 capture and the utilization. So put simply, IHI can have an opportunity, the capability for the CO2 capturing. Also, we have the hydrogen or syngas related technology. And furthermore, we can enhance and strengthen some of the technology to convert these CO2 and hydrogen into valuable resources. So I'd like to talk about a little bit more about this part. So as I talked, we already have the technology that can capture CO2 and purify it. And furthermore, we have some of the technologies related to the green hydrogen, and also for some of the potential hydrogen source, such as the gasified syngas. Then how to bridge in this CO2 and hydrogen into some of the variables. So this is the technology. We are working with the ICES and the A-Star for this joint research. The core technology to be the catalyst to convert the CO2 and the hydrogen into some of variables. And we are working on both catalyst development and also for the reactor development too. So I would like to explain you some of the background for the first example. This is actually my role in here, Singapore, to accelerate this development. This is titled as the production of lower olefins to produce the plastic sauce or something like that. So what we need to do for this kind of development, actually the catalyst development itself is really time-consuming, also manpower-consuming, very resource-consuming process. We need to synthesize the catalyst and then do the characterization. And then after that, after experiment, we need to find out how much the target products are yield. And then we need to feed back such kind of knowledge to the new candidates to be tested. So this kind of cycles are tested for very, very long time. And also a lot of efforts are necessary. So recently, as the latest news, I like to announce that we are working for the another project, so-called the Accelerated Catalyst Development Platform. So this could be supplied by the ESTA program, and IHI also willing to give them some of the experimental data to accelerate this development. I hope this kind of new kind of knowledge and the technology can help the acceleration of the catalyst development. As for the some of the reactor development, this is on the right side. You can see the actual picture of the appearance of the experimental facility, and then we would like to announce that you can, as you can see on the right side, we have stable CO2 conversion and a lighter olefin yield, and also we are working for the further development. Yeah, we already found that this 500 hours stability, and now we are working even more. This is the last slide for the lower olefins example, and showing the latest press release from the IHI Japan. This is something, yeah. So how to moving forward this development olefins? To be honest, yeah. So this technology can be applied in the real petrochemical plant. So recently we successfully collaborated with the Japanese New Energy and Industrial Technology Development Organization, so-called NIDO, to funding this technology to demonstrate even bigger and also the real technology site. So more information could be available from the this official press release. So please check it out. Anyway, IHI will contribute the carbon neutrality for the chemical industry from now on. For the methane, actually, this can be used as a substituting natural gas. As you can see on here, one of the innovation cost here is porous nickel silica nanoparticle catalyst shown here. So for the roadmap wise, after studying the very small laboratory scale test, we are successfully launched the demonstration unit in Singapore. You can see in the middle. Although that this can be similar capacity of the production, but this demo unit is equipped with the water electrolyzer. And then after that, IHI Yokohama site and Soma Lab, I will introduce later. We are successfully moving forward to the doing the scaling up for this technology. One important thing is that not only for the reactor development, we are also working for the catalyst production. So simply, we are producing bigger capacity of the catalyst amount to synthesize and then apply it. And this is the latest and also the biggest demo unit for methanation technology, where locates in the Fukushima prefecture. We can show you some of the plant with equipment with the solar PV and also the research facility and some of the electrolyzer with the both alkaline and the PM type. And this is the appearance of the biggest research facility for the methanation plant. So this is the key takeaways to all of the audiences. So simply, we are working with the ICES and ASTAR, but beforehand, we are the company that tackles the decarbonization issue. So carbon recycling is the most essential part to achieving this carbon-free society. So co-working with the ASTAR and the ICES, of course, for existing two projects, lower olefins and the methane to be the focusing area. And furthermore, I would like to show the expectation on the CCU translational testbed to be presented by the Mr. Gabriel Lowe. We wish this would be the great opportunity to demonstrate the things with the faster and the smoother way to and then achieving this wonderful society with the carbon free as soon as possible. Yeah, that's all about. Thank you.
Yep, so thank you, Hashimoto-san. At this point in time, maybe just to check with the live audience here, if you have any questions that you have, please feel free to ask now. We have both speakers on hand to answer your queries or clarifications before we proceed with our third speaker. So maybe just to give a few more seconds for you to ponder if you have any questions. Okay, if not, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the next speaker for today. So he's none other than Mr. Gabriel Loh. He's a manager currently leading the digitalization strategy and automation team at ICES, the Institute of Chemical and Engineering Sciences. He's both a chemical engineer who has been working in the areas of process development, process scale-up, and technology innovation for many years. Gabriel is currently leading an initiative that investigates the use of integrated modular production and digitalization technologies to accelerate CCU technologies, translation, and adoption in the process as well as the chemical industries in Singapore. So without further ado, let me just invite Gabriel to share his talk titled Future of Process Development and Chemical Production. Gabriel, please.
Hey. Thank you, Royston. Thank you for the introduction. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Gabriel. I am from Institute of Chemical and Engineering. And on behalf of the team, I would like to share our ICES approach towards transformation of the process and chemical industry. And in particular, right, through the lens of CCU Translational Testbed, where we seek to accelerate translation of emerging CCU technologies like what adoption, like what Hashimoto-san has shared in his talk. So the main motivation of this CCU Translational Testbed is really to support Singapore's vision towards the green economy, particularly coming down to the greening of the process and chemical industry. And what we seek to do in this initiative is not just to establish an infrastructure to scale up technologies, but also to seek an opportunity to stimulate the local R&D ecosystem and landscape, and of course to seed an ecosystem to drive this national imperative. And if you might have known, technology translation in process and chemical industry takes a long time. It can take anything between 8 complexity, it could even go more than that. And with every step of translation, the scale goes up, the cost of translation goes up, right? And with this, the cost of failures actually is very significant. As such, companies are very selective in terms of the technology they choose to translate. And so, where we position CCU-TT is really after early stage research TRL space, right? But before industrial piloting and industrial adoption. And this is really to break down the barriers towards translation and help technologies to push down the TRL ladder. So the question that we ask ourselves is also, how can we transform the speed of process development and not just to look at the conventional way where dedicated test beds are being designed and built, right? And move away from this conventional approach towards a future state where process development could be faster, much more flexible, much more efficient, right? And in the process, reduce or be more cost-effective in doing so, right? And ultimately help to accelerate emerging technology translation. So our response to this is really a first in its kind modular approach. And if I guess everyone might be familiar with the Lego concepts, where simple building blocks are being together to construct a bigger megastructure. And in this case, we are doing something very similar. We are trying to encapsulate process equipment into a modular form whereby we could rapidly assemble a testing line, right? And with that, we are able to bring in different technologies from laboratory, be it carbon capture technologies like membrane, solid adsorption or adsorbent, right? As well as solvent adsorbents, right? And of course, catalysts which convert CO2 to different chemicals and fuels, right? Into this infrastructure where we could rapidly scale up the technologies and push them down towards adoption, right? As well as commercialization. So in ICE's approach towards this consists of two components. I mentioned earlier on the modularization bit, right? Where we differ from others is really how we take on a multi-level modularization approach to give us a maximum flexibility to configure and adapt a test bed to bring in different technologies into this space. And this is also enabled by a new modular automation technology, a sort of modular type package, which allows a plug-and-play concept. So essentially, we are, through these two combination of modularization, we are able to configure and adapt a plant, right, and operationalize on demand. The other aspect, right, is the digitalization bit. Right, what we seek to do in this initiative is to have an integrated digital twin, which includes the three key digital twin of the process industry. First, the plant structure model. The second is our operation model, which essentially is our automation, because it gives us all the data, measurements, set points, and so on and so forth, right? And this, again, will be defined by MTP. And the last digital twin is our process behavior model, right? And this is essentially defined by our simulation, right? And collectively, this integrated digital twin will be developed and established along the whole life cycle of the assets and during piloting. This will enable us maximum efficiency in terms of decision making, right? And help us to accelerate, right, the engineering and operationalization of a test bed. So with this, we seek to actually establish a new production platform, right, which aims to give us unprecedented speed, agility, cost efficiency, as well as efficiency in operation, right, to accelerate technology translation. So with new production system, right, demands actually a new methodology, right, a new way to do test bedding and chemical production. In this slide, it highlights the 4 key steps which allow us to do so. First, laboratory data and information of these new emerging CCU technologies will be received by a process engineer who shall use it to design a manufacturing of a production process. Right? And together with the digital twin of CCU TT's module, we will be able to match suitable modules that will perform each of the steps of the process. And with that, able to quickly assemble a test bed and operationalize it on demand. And at the end of the scale-up campaign, we will be then dismantling the test bed and return the individual modules back to our module library, right, and to get them ready for the next campaign. So in the next few slides, it will illustrate a bit more about how the individual steps of this methodology works, and give a bit of insights and context to how we are going to perform accelerated test bedding. So, like I mentioned earlier on, the technology development starts from the lab. So scientists, engineers actually convene in the lab to actually develop or invent new materials for carbon capture and carbon utilization. Right? And the data that is being generated from the lab actually goes to a process engineer, which will take them to design a suitable production process which mirrors that of when it's going to be adopted at the final scale, right? And of course, the process will allow us to evaluate the technology in detail to give insights to its performance. And this helps to define the requirements of every step in the processes, right? Which is essential because now the engineer will go to the module library and start to pick the suitable modules which will carry out and perform the duties of each of the steps of the process. Right? And the module library could include feed or material feed modules, reaction modules, separation, as well as purification modules. What comes next is actually a matching step. The engineer essentially will look at the digital twin and start looking and comparing the characteristics and functionalities of the modules to the requirements of each step of the process and start looking at suitable modules, right? And of course, modules which are unable to meet the requirements of those steps in the process will be eliminated. Those that are able to meet the requirements are going to be shortlisted, right? And this process is iterated through the different steps of the process, and finally, you'll get a suite of modules which will be quickly assembled for test bedding. So our modules will be designed as such that they will be highly mobile or transportable, right? So you move them into a space. The modular approach quickly assembled, right, and automated using MTP. And in this way, we are able to quickly form a test bed that helps to stress test the emerging CCU technologies that's coming on from the lab. And not only this, we are seeking to get fuel gas from the different stations, Jurong Island, right, to be used as a feedstock for test bedding of the CCU technologies. Right? And what we seek to do in this is to create an environment whereby the technologies would be stress tested under realistic industrial conditions, dimensions, and using the industrial feedstocks. Right? And this is really to create confidence in the data and the insights that is being during scale-up, right, which is essential because they form the basis of a sound business case, right? So in which CCUTT hopes to accelerate and create the environment, right? CCUTT hopes to accelerate the assembly of a test bed, create the environment to give quality data, right, to support and de-risk business decision for next steps of industrial piloting and industrial. So where we are right now in the CCUTT initiative is at conceptual design phase. Right? We have taken a front-end loading approach for the project, whereby through a systematic stages and phases of the project to align both business and technical requirements, right, we hope to actually put the facility and infrastructure on Jurong Island sometime in 2025. So in short and in summary, right, CCUTT seeks to accelerate decarbonization of the process and chemical industry in Singapore through three key approaches. First, having a highly flexible and rapid infrastructure and modules to help scale up emerging CCU technologies. Second is to create an environment where we stress test these emerging CCU technologies under realistic industrial condition, dimension, and using industrial feedstock. Right? And this is really to create confidence in the data and insights to support and de-risk business decision for the next steps. And last but not least, we hope to see an ecosystem, right? Like just one that you have just earlier on, the signing of the MOU for different companies, research performance, right, and being supported by the public agencies to drive, to collectively drive these national imperatives. So with that, ICS is seeking out to companies who are able to join us and impact on this national imperative towards a low carbon economy. So please do contact us to find out how to be a part of the ecosystem. So with this, thank you very much for your time and presence here, physically and remotely, and happy to take any questions.